All right, we're super excited about this, Tom. We have been talking about it on the show. We're proud to kind of be involved with and sponsor a match of this event coming up in St. Louis on Sunday. Glory Pro, Down with the King. We've got Dan the Dad with us here to talk about it. There's going to be a whole lot of fun stuff going on here, Tom. I can hardly contain my excitement. Where are you at right now?
I tell you what, I am so excited. As you mentioned, we are sponsoring a match here at Glory Pro, and that matchup, we'll get into here in a little bit. But Ricky Shane Page versus Stallion Rogers is something that I just think is going to be incredible. So, Dan, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. And where I want to start off with you is Down with the King. So we read that and we didn't really know what that meant. Was that like down with the king, we're taking your head off? Or is that like we're down with, Eddie Kingston, down with the king?
Yeah, it's the latter. Well, it comes from a Run DMC song and album. So we were kind of doing we had named the last few shows after songs, and I don't know why, but it just sort of, the creative juices got flowing, and we were at Eddie Kingston, Run DMC, Down with the King, just kind of a different vibe. The last event was The Heat Is On, so it was a little bit more of an 80s vibe. So this is going to be, I guess, 90s hip hop style wrestling. I don't know. It was a fun, thing to reference, and I'm a big Run DMC fan, so that's where it comes from. But yeah, it's we're Down with the King because we support Eddie Kingston. He's always been one of our guys for a long time, former Crown of Glory champion. He's somebody who did a lot to help Glory Pro kind of get to the next level and evolve when you were kind of looking for. He's just always been a great veteran who's been like, there's no better locker room leader to have than Eddie Kingston around. And obviously he's gone on to such great things, but we're so excited to have him back, and just kind of be like old times when he was kind of the sheriff around Glory Pro Wrestling. So it's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, that I could only imagine is going to be awesome because, we've seen AEW release some backstage footage where he was giving, some pep talks to the locker room. I'm assuming when he was, making every show with Glory Pro, he was kind of doing the same thing, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's just always been, he's just a great guy. Obviously in the ring, he's intense, and he's, but behind the scenes, he's always going to be someone who lifts people up. He's just one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet, and one of the most professional wrestlers in the entire world, for that reason, because he's always looking to, lend a hand and bring others up to his level. And he's done that his whole career. He's been around a long time, and it seems like just now he's finally getting his flowers a little bit. But I think, when it comes to when it comes to a real wrestler and somebody that everyone in the locker room respects, I don't think there's many who command more respect than Eddie. So he's just awesome. He's an awesome guy. I can't wait it's been a while since I've seen him, so I'm excited to see him myself, and everyone else in the locker room is excited to hang out.
Yeah, we are excited to see him as well. He's certainly one of our favorites here. We talk about Eddie Kingston quite a bit. What I want to talk about here is, let's say somebody hasn't been to a pro wrestling show in St. Louis. We know of this to be a very impassioned crowd, and a city that loves to see a wide variety of wrestling. We'll call it that, but they love to get loud, get rowdy, get involved. What can someone expect for this? Obviously, we're coming out of a pandemic too, where people have been a little starved for this. For somebody, unexperienced to the St. Louis scene, what can they expect coming to the show?
Yeah, I mean, St. Louis has always been a really great scene full of great fans, but it almost seems like recently it's been kind of kicked up another level. I think the scene, whether it's Glory Pro or whether it's St. Louis Anarchy or all the other promotions that are in the area, are just doing such great work, and fans are starting to notice. And there's the local fans who are obviously they're great, but then there's fans traveling in, from Kansas City, from all over the Midwest, and all over. I think this past at our July event, I was looking at those ticket sales come in, and you kind of notice where the address is from. And you're like, wow, this is people from Nebraska and even out to the East Coast and Florida. And like, it's just really cool to see kind of St. Louis becoming like a destination to come see great wrestling. And, especially this weekend, St. Louis Anarchy is on Friday. Our show is on Sunday. Saturday, come see some time to check out the rest of the city. So it would be like a great weekend to come and just check out St. Louis and see some great wrestling and see the city a bit. And it's just really cool to kind of see it becoming almost like a tourist destination for wrestling specifically. So, yeah, I mean, I'd be excited to kind of maybe run some more weekends with some of the other promotions just to kind of get people here and checking out the scene. But, obviously we love the local fans who have propped us up for such a long time. And I feel like they're kind of starting to get their own reputation, like kind of said, of being a really passionate fan base. And, they're like part of the show as well that people are kind of want to come be a part of. So it's been awesome. I think just kind of coming out of the pandemic and getting started again, we're on a really great series of shows since we've got back going out. There hasn't been a single one that hasn't been better than the last one. So it's like our graphics guy, Roger McDonald, mouthpiece designs. He will constantly say that every Glory Pro show is the best Glory Pro show. And I think that's a really cool tagline that's kind of just kind of organically developed because we've been, I think, just on a really good string of shows, kind of date back even to like October of last year. Because we were participated in the kind of the makeup collective after Tampa was canceled, and Indianapolis, GCW spun that one up and had a really great event there. And I think it has been kind of riding the momentum since then. It hasn't really stopped. So I'm just excited. I think it's cool to just that everyone's taking notice of not just Glory Pro, but just the entire St. Louis scene, like you're saying.
So talk to us a little bit about putting a show together like this. We already mentioned Eddie Kingston. Also, we've got Warhorse. We mentioned Ricky Shane Page, Stallion Rogers. It looks like Jake Something's also going to be on this card. So as a promoter, obviously that's fun, right? Like that almost takes me back to like when you were a kid and you had all your action figures and it's like, I can just look at all these guys and like put them in a ring. But then tell me a little bit of like the challenging part about putting together a show that has all of this talent. What's the highest of highs, and then what's the challenges of doing a show like this?
Luckily, I mean, and maybe this says something about the history of Glory Pro. A lot of our regular talent, your Myron Reed and Jake Something and Rohit Raju, who've gone on to bigger and better things. Obviously, Eddie Kingston has gone on. Is that since they kind of got a start here, they're so willing to come back and still be a part of it because it was a big part of their career. Obviously Stallion Rogers coming back to the Indies, the first place that he wanted to come was to Glory Pro, and that was the first appearance that he made it kind of as a surprise at the end of our last event. So it's challenging to get everyone in, especially when everyone keeps moving up and they're getting busier and their schedules are filling up. But it seems like everyone seems, for the most part, they keep their schedule open for our dates because I think we're a crew that's stuck together through a lot and always been trying to elevate each other. And a lot of great talents come through Glory Pro that's you'll see on television now. So. Oh, yeah. But yeah, it's cool. They all want to come back and still be a part of it and still keep building it. Because we're all just, like I said, it's just a crew that's been together for a long time. So it's, it's always going to be challenging to work with everyone's schedules to kind of get that same level of talent that the fans are used to. But, so far it's not too terribly challenging. It's not, we don't really need to convince anyone to come, especially just St. Louis in general. You just got folks that want to come here because they want to, not because they're just being booked or someone's reaching out to them that wants to, they're making an effort to come to the city. So there's challenges, of course, with just kind of getting everybody in. But, for the most part, especially with the great crew that we have, when that first match goes on and that bell rings, that show runs itself. Everyone's such a pro. Everyone's especially for me, since I also wrestle on the shows in addition to promoting, it makes it a lot easier for me when you've got a crew of such professional talent who are able to just do their job. I don't need to, I think I kind of feel bad because sometimes they'll come up and say, hey, did you enjoy the match? Are you happy with it? And I'm like, I didn't see it because I was kind of preparing for my match. Right. I will watch it later, but I absolutely trust that it was awesome because I don't think anyone would be on a roster if they weren't awesome. So that's kind of what we look for is talent that's professional, talent that does their job, and talent that just is a complete package. I think, you look at everyone, Jake Something, obviously great in the ring, a great look, everything, but then he cuts a killer promo too. And it's like such a complete Rohit Raju, same thing. I mean, a lot of people on our roster are just, you can trust them to do anything. If they need to do something on the microphone, have a great match, doesn't matter. They usually can do the job. So honestly, I would love to go through all the challenges, but there's not that many because because it's such a good crew. So I'm thankful for that because like I said, obviously it makes my job easier and my life easier. But everything just goes smoothly, and it just ends up being a good time. And once the show's over, I know I feel that sense of relief that it went well again. So it's like haven't really had any shows where we were, at least not for a while, where we were disappointed in anything or anything like that. And that's just thanks to the crew. That's not a testament to us running the show. That's the wrestlers. That's the talent. They're just so good at what they do.
And you spoke earlier about everybody's got, it's hard to get a bunch of these folks on the same page, to get them in on the same day. And there's a lot going on and people are busy. And certainly a dad knows that better than anybody. I mean, you've got to get some mowing in. You've got to get some grocery running going on. You got to pick kid up from practice. You got all that going on. You got to check some work emails. So did you think that, like, you were like, I'm going to create a wrestling character that's going to be the most over with like 40, 50-year-old dudes. Like, I'm going to be the star of the show. I'm going to be signing a lot of autographs on some New Balance. Like, did that come about, or were you just like, this is the plan from the beginning? This is
it was organic. I think it just, as I got older, I've been in wrestling for about 7, almost 8 years now. And when I started my career, I was the millennial Danny Adams, and I was kind of like a cocky, young, brash heel. But then I turned 27, 28 years old, and then you don't feel like such a young, cocky dude anymore. You start to notice you're not dressing as cool. You're not. You're a little bit more responsible. Like, it's more of it's a coming of age character more than anything about having kids necessarily. And it's the natural progression of for myself and for most. Mm-hmm. So you kind of hit those late 20s and it's like, the
warranty runs out.
Is becoming parents now and kind of growing up. So it's just sort of like rode that wave into the next stage of life. And then, the character just kind of evolved with it because
it fits.
I wear hats and I wear high socks and I wear comfortable clothes because I don't care what anybody thinks about me. So.
Yes. Yeah. The dad spirit is that. It's like, what do I care if that guy thinks about my shoes? Like, I'm busy. I've got stuff I got to get done. He's not helping me get this stuff done. He's not coming over to help me mow. I don't care what he thinks about my shoes. How about that? I love it. It's instantly connected.
You can buy $100 shirt or you can buy a $10 shirt. It's just a shirt, man. Or the same thing with the shoes. You can buy $100, $200 pair of shoes, or those $35 New Balance do the exact same job. So it's like, I don't know. You get to a certain point where you just don't care about that stuff anymore. And whether you got kids or not, I think anyone, you start to feel like a dad at a certain point.
Oh yeah.
Well, they say, lean into it.
Yeah, they say crank it up to 11, right? That's the best way to really get it going.
So let's talk about this match that we're involved with as far as sponsoring. So it's, as we mentioned, Ricky Shane Page versus Stallion Rogers. Now, in the independent scene, one of the bigger matches of the year was the Matt Cardona versus Nick Gage in GCW. Ricky Shane Page was one of the deciding factors in that match. So right now, he's kind of on fire as far as being like the dastardly heel. You also mentioned Stallion Rogers just left NXT. Coming back to the indies, he's back on fire, doing his thing. So what can we expect from a matchup of these two kind of, entities running into each other?
Yeah. And that's why I was kind of excited to put it together, because I think it's two wrestlers who are kind of like, on fire in different ways, right?
Yeah.
We've got Ricky, who's, he has his hand involved in everything. He's gotten really popular with the 440 group, and you just kind of see him everywhere. He's red hot right now. And then you got Stallion, who's he's been with us for a long time, but coming back, didn't necessarily want to put him in the ring with any of the same matchups that anyone's seen before. It's a new Stallion, so we want to give him a new opponent, and so Ricky makes sense, and obviously they're just both elite talent, so there's no reason that they wouldn't have an awesome match together. But they are just kind of a different different stages of their career, but just like with so much potential to build off of. So I'm just extremely excited to see, because it could go a lot of different ways, because their styles are very different, and they're both very intense individuals in the ring, and there's just a lot of factors and a lot of variables there that it's going to be, no matter what happens, it's going to be a cool match. But I couldn't tell you exactly how it's going to go down, because
sure,
they're both kind of wild cards in that way.
That's the fun of it. Yeah, exactly. Perfect. Yeah. All right. We like to do a fun thing here with every guest the first time they're on the show. We like to ask the same series of 5 questions, right? Gives us a good overview, pretty standard formula here. And these are softballs, right? Most of these are easy, but feel free to kind of expand on the answer, right? It's not like a rapid fire. Right?
But one question we do throw you a curveball. Softballs for the couple, but then we got one curveball for you. So just preparing you.
I know something's coming.
Yes, exactly.
Right. Yeah, something's coming, but no, we didn't want to smarten you up too much. All right. Who's your favorite wrestler of all time?
Wrestler of all time. It actually used to be Bret Hart for a long time, and I still probably maybe put him up there. I think as I sort of even got more into, once I became a wrestler and started kind of figuring out what I was good at, honestly, I think The Rock became my favorite, just because I started to lean more towards the showmanship aspect of there's obviously different facets of wrestling, and everyone
of course
has the things that they excel at. And I just once I started leaning more into, getting character over and connecting with a crowd, it's like The Rock is the absolute best at that.
That's great.
So he's my number one at present.
I don't know that we've necessarily, we've heard like a Bret Hart's, your Shawn Michaels, we get your Ric Flairs and that kind of thing. And I don't know that somebody off the top of my head, somebody's answered The Rock. And that's almost a shame, because you're right. I mean, probably even if you're going to say he's not the best at any one thing, like, you can't argue that he's not top 5 to top 10 of a lot of things. So how are you going to not put him in one of the best of all time?
Yeah, one of my favorite things in just in the ring, is just being able to look out at a crowd and just kind of feel their energy and get, and the Rock he could do that with a single. He just looked, and then people knew it was I want to give this guy all of my energy. I want to get behind him, and that's. Obviously I'm not on The Rock's level just yet, but I'd love to get to the point where at least I can look at all the dads in the audience and
right. Yeah.
You got that many movies. You haven't done as many movies, but you'll get there.
Yeah.
Just one more movie.
Speaking about The Rock and the looks, I mean, him and Hogan created this whole thing of every time there's a big match, it's like you have to do the Rock Hogan thing where everyone, both of you have to look out to the crowd. So yeah, definitely understand that. All right, so let's go to question number 2 now. So we just asked about who your favorite pro wrestler is. Now, what is your favorite match? And since you're in-ring competitor, you can answer this one of 2 ways or both. You can either say what's your favorite match you've been in, or what's your favorite match that you've seen, or again, a combination.
Okay. Favorite match my favorite match of all time. And this is just because it was like on a VHS tape that I had when I was a kid. And it just always stuck with me. And it was Sting against Cactus Jack in a Falls Count Anywhere match. I think Halloween Havoc 92.
Yes.
Or no, Beach Blast 92. Beach Blast 92. They have a Falls Count Anywhere match. Yeah. And I couldn't really tell. I mean, I was just always grew up just as a huge fan of Sting and Mick Foley, just because you just have those matches that, I grew up as a wrestling fan. I can't exactly say there's one moment that I became a wrestling fan. It was always something in that my dad and my brother enjoyed. So it just was always in the house. So I didn't discover wrestling or anything, but it's kind of one of those matches where I just always remember watching. I watched it probably seen that match 150 times just from it being on a VHS tape that I would play over and over again. And it's a great match. And I go back and watch it to this day, and it's good stuff. But
I think they covered that in the A&E biography of Mick Foley. I think they covered that feud.
Yeah, I think he considered that his best match, or one of his
really
top 5 or something.
Yeah, really good.
But Sting's the best because he's we'll just kind of look back on that era, just how cool he looked and how awesome he was. It's just kind of it's so cool to see even someone like Warhorse kind of try to recapture that. I just want to see wrestlers that just look so freaking cool and.
Warhorse. Well, Warhorse for me Warhorse for me is like the best combination of like Sting and the Road Warriors like had a love child. It would be Warhorse. Like I just love everything about the guy.
Great compliment.
Yeah, he's the best. I love everything that Warhorse is doing right now.
All right, so this one is, and we get this one answered a multitude of ways too. We usually ask who's your biggest influence in the industry, and some people will answer that like who personally influenced them, or maybe just kind of who they took things from. So we'll leave that up to you to kind of however you took that. But biggest influence in the industry.
Gosh, I mean, I feel like I've been around. Like I started my career around Ring of Honor a lot, and that was like about 2014. Yeah. So at that time, you had Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly and ACH, and Kyle O'Reilly, especially when he was based in St. Louis. He was based here about when I started, and so he had a hand in training me a bit, and definitely someone I learned a lot from in terms of like, he's obviously like great in the ring. He's got a great mixed martial arts background, great strikes, great submissions. But you watch Kyle and like the way that he would like just like his emotion and his character that he shows, in addition to just like being like great at the technical aspect of everything, is something that I took a lot from him. Ethan Page is someone else who just kind of again, being a great character, someone who connects with the crowd. Someone who I would always like see at a merch table, like just really connecting with people there too. So you can connect a lot, through a match and through your character and everything. But on the indies, like a lot of it's you're building a lot from the ground up. And you do a lot of that at the merch table just by being, open and personable, and, just kind of you make yourself available for people to come and get to know you. And I think that's one thing I took from him, is just to be there, to just, you might be dead tired. You might have driven 12, 15 hours to get to some booking, had a match, you're beat, and then, but he would still get right over to that merch table to obviously make money, but then, it's just to be there to connect with fans, because that's what they're there. That's what makes indie wrestling so cool, is that you can go see a great show. Obviously the matches are great, but then it's intermission. You can go right over and talk to everybody. I do remember one time when I was younger, I went to a local show here, and Delirious was on it. He's a St. Louis guy. Yeah. And his character being like, he had a mask and he would like speak gibberish and he was like all crazy. And then I remember going straight to the merch table, and he was just like, "Oh yeah, how's it going, guys? It's really great that you came out." And it was, and me and my buddy Luke, who I would like go to these shows to when I was younger, we were just like, man, that was so cool that he wasn't just standing at the merch table like, he was kind of still in character, but he was just like, "Hey guys, I want to connect with you as people." And I think that's cool. It's cool to be your character in the ring and to get people behind that. But then when they can kind of meet you behind the scenes and you kind of make yourself available in that way, it just creates a whole new connection for people. So I've definitely been influenced by a lot of people in the ring, but I've always kind of paid attention to how some people would connect with fans and build them and build their brand that way. And it's a great way to do it, because it's fun to meet everyone. It's a lot of, especially when people are coming to a wrestling show for the first time, it's kind of scary. It's kind of intimidating. Yeah. And as long as we can do our best to make it, hey, you can be one of the family, you can come back and see us and you can get into, meet some other people that are into this stuff too. And that's how we kind of build it.
Hey, if you ever saw Medea at an old Metro Pro show, you'd be a little intimidated, man.
Yeah.
First time, you'd be like, "Whoa, this crowd takes it serious."
All right. Yeah, for sure. All right. So let's move into question 4. So this one gets a little bit inside baseball. So obviously there's pro wrestling terms like babyface, heel, things of that nature. So what is your favorite pro wrestling term?
Favorite pro wrestling? I use the term gimmick way too much in regular life.
Yeah.
Where people don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like, obviously if you're a wrestling person, you understand the gimmick. The gimmick can mean like I've got my phone gimmick right here. I've got my, but
everything.
But anything can be a gimmick. But then I overuse that term and people are like, "What is a gimmick?" I'm like, "It's a thing. It's just that chair right there is a gimmick. Go sit here. Go sit on the gimmick." I don't know.
Yeah. It's usually when you said gimmick twice in the sentence that people are like, "All right, what?"
Yeah. But it's also kind of like a bat call, because if someone says the word gimmick and you don't know that they're a pro wrestling fan, you're like, "Hey, wait a minute. Hey, so
you throw something else at him. Right?
Yeah, exactly. You're like, so tell me, like, WrestleMania 3, you know anything about that? And you're like, okay, all right. Like, now we can start to have a conversation. Yeah, definitely.
That's good times. All right. So this is the curveball one, right? It's not even a question, but branding, right? With Cinco Preguntas is what we call the 5 questions, right? So we can't call it 4 questions in a hypothetical situation, but that's what we have for you here. All right. We are, let's say this is whatever your biggest event that you could think to work, right? Whether that's a WrestleMania or an All Out or a Glory Pro, whatever the biggest thing in the business would be for you. We pulled you in. The head booker went down, had to go to the hospital. We're putting you at the top, right? We've got to get you here. We got a show coming up in a couple weeks. We're putting you over at the top against Tom here. You got to give us the story. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep, that's the curveball.
That's it. Triple H or whomever is looking at you like, I need a story. We got to go now. What do we got?
Yep.
So it's me against Tom, and we need a story to tell as to why we are.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Why do we care? Why am I going to buy this pay-per-view now?
Yeah, that's a good question because maybe some bookers don't consider that enough. So we need a reason that these two are. I would say maybe we had an interaction backstage. We could film it before, a little pre-tape where I'm lacing up my. I got some fresh New Balance shoes. So I got rid of my old ratty ones. I got some brand new. They're
no grass stains.
White. They're beautiful.
Love it.
Tom walks over to compliment them, but he's holding a cup of coffee, right? Doesn't have a lid on the coffee. And he leans down to admire them, and then he spills his entire cup of coffee raw all over my brand new shiny white New Balance shoes. And
there's probably decaf too of all the nerve.
Yeah, it's more offensive. So we film that. We show everybody, we've got a real issue going on, and then obviously we'd be having a Falls Count Anywhere, no disqualification street fight over these shoes, or we could do one better. We could say that if Tom loses, he's got to buy me some new shoes of my choice or something like that. So we can even keep going for
or a get off my yard fight, right? Like let's do that. Right?
Take out the trash match. Whoever throws their opponent outside.
Yes.
There's a million.
Okay.
We can
so then we're gonna leave it up to you. Who goes over in that?
Oh well, I mean it would. You got to tell a good story. You got to finish that out. So Tom's going under.
He's
buying me the new shoes.
Yes, of course.
There's no reason to take that away from the audience. So,
he's going the top shelf New Balances too. Like you're demanding like
my choice. So we're going for the Kawhis. We're getting some beautiful top of the line New Balance for sure.
Yeah, Dan. We're giving the crowd what they want. I totally get it. Yeah, we're putting you over. Of course, we're giving the crowd.
Hey,
no, I'm kidding.
I want him to win. I know that much.
That's who matters. That's who paid for it.
Right. Yeah. Definitely.
Hey, I'm telling you, I want it. So okay. All right, everybody's got a chance. If you're in the St. Louis area, or even as you said, I mean, people come from Nebraska, Iowa, hop a plane from Japan. We don't care. Get here Sunday, August 22nd. St. Louis, Missouri, South Broadway Athletic Club. This is a 3 p.m. showtime, right? Doors open at 2. Yep. GloryProWrestling.com, at We Are Glory Pro on the Twitter. What else do people need to know?
That's about it. I mean, it's just tickets are still available. We got cheap kids tickets too. We're a family show, so $10 for kids tickets, and which makes me happy because I like putting on a family show. I don't know that there's that many real big family shows in independent wrestling anymore, just because everything's kind of gone more towards being a little bit edgier. I mean, not that we don't, do our best to put on an exciting show, but
it helps to get dads in the audience when you're going to be Dan the Dad too, right?
Exactly. So it's fun for the whole family. So tickets are still available. We got plenty of room. It's going to be a really great show. Eddie Kingston's in town, Ricky Shane Page, like we talked about. So I'm excited. I would love for some new folks, especially from the Kansas City area, to come check us out. I know there's always some cars that come along from them. You probably find someone to ride with, honestly, because there's probably somebody coming from the KC area, just like you guys. Right. So I think you about covered it though.
Yeah, if anybody wants to drive us, we're willing to.
We'll totally take. There you go. Yeah, I have a good podcast list. I tell you what, St. Louis and back, I got you covered. Anyone who wants to take our,
we can,
definitely.
All right. Well, hey, listen, we will let folks check out the website and do all that stuff, man. We appreciate you coming on. We will see you there on site, and we'll talk again soon.
Awesome. I appreciate it, guys.